Hey, good afternoon, everybody. The president's set to be discharged within the next 24 hours from Walter Reed Medical Center. But amid that, new reports claim that the president has not been forthcoming about his medical condition. New concerns that the Congress still remains closed as the Senate has been shut down by Mitch McConnell, so there's no way to get your laws effectuated, and the president's doing much of nothing about it. A deadline for the airlines has passed, and hundreds of thousands of airline employees have been laid off, and the airlines are becoming even more critical of the president not doing anything for stimulus relief. Economic numbers from Thursday, which have been foreshadowed by, and overshadowed by the events of the president in the last 3 days, were absolutely horrible, suggesting new job creation has dissipated and stimulus is needed right away. Questions about a next debate for the president still looms. Silence from his economic team across the board today, yesterday, and since Friday caused more questions as to whether stimulus relief can be done. You know, let's just keep on going. But as the list lines up and keeps on growing, the question is, when will this president realize that executive order is needed for your second stimulus check and stimulus package? It's needed now more than ever before. And if you could not tip a cow, then tip a cow at a casino and watch the cow out front move away very quickly, because this is afternoon's LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Afternoon's LA. Thank you for tuning in on a reassuring and refreshing Sunday afternoon. I appreciate you for joining me, and thank you for tuning in as always. Great news across the corner and left and right for everything except getting stimulus checks in your hand. They continue to be sidelined by a series of events, which I'll be getting to shortly. Go to the Funds channel, subscribe, because no one has your sentiments and wishes more in heart than myself, and also like this video. I'll be covering a lot of stuff in this video today, and there's a lot of breaking developments, and I'll be going over them for you. First, I'll be going over this importance of the president to start working on something for you for stimulus, because he is being discredited across broadcast news today about mixed messaging about his medical condition, which I'm not going to go too much into. But the response is, well, if you say you're working, then where's the work for our stimulus relief? Next, how can Congress get anything done if the Senate's closed? Third, I'll be going over these deadlines, because these deadlines are very critical for your second stimulus relief as we sit here now on, October 3rd, October 4th. How quickly could we get these stimulus relief in our hands, stimulus checks and FPUC? A lot of money you deserve, and how quickly could we receive it? Next, the debate is just around the corner. Debate number 2 will go on. And why, if that is sort of sidelined, is stimulus even more important than ever? 6, silence. Silence from Navarro, Kudlow, Mnuchin. Silence across the board in just the last 48 hours. How quickly will the silence change, and where is everyone? Let me get to the breaking news, and this is Afternoon's LLA, part of our 2-hour programming block. After this, stay with me, because 30 minutes after this, I will have a continuation of this video, because there's so much detail. That is the hazard pay video, but I will be continuing this story in that video as well. Additionally, then after 30 minutes thereafter is how to get money right away from your states. Lots of money, despite what's going on with the president. And finally, the last video on Afternoon's LA, which has been a blockbuster, Mnuchin versus Pelosi, or Pelosi versus Mnuchin, however you call it. I will have the latest developments on these two people and their inroad fightings and the ability to get the stimulus for you. All right, let's get to the breaking details. The president will be potentially released in the next 24 hours. His medical team announced. Before I continue, I want to have a personal note. I want to personally thank every one of the Purple Power, whether you're Republicans or Democrats, for being professional and respectful throughout the last 3 days of the president's medical condition. I have seen absolutely categorically disgusting reporting across broadcast news that is really just not Let me cut to the chase. It's exemplary of why stimulus cannot get done, because they have taken this time as a situation to simply keep on digging and digging and becoming more partisan. And this is really where I'm going with the first part of the news stories this afternoon, which is the lead story. The lead story on CNBC, America's top financial channel today, says Trump put on steroid recommendation for severe COVID-19 cases, even as doctors suggest upbeat outlook. If you see the suggestion of the title, it's basically saying that his office, that his team, medical team, says he's in good condition, upbeat, but that he's put on a severe steroid that is only administered to people who have severe cases of COVID-19, and that it could cause harm to those with less severe cases of COVID-19. Basically, the very long article, which I'm not going to go into, is claiming that the president's medical condition is worse than has been disclosed, and that the fact that he is being treated for this very severe case of this type of steroid, which is only used for severe cases, suggests he has a severe case and is not misrepresenting the situation correctly. It's in times like this that we want to come together as a nation and submit our full and deepest sympathies for the president and his family, his staff, the Washington Post reporter, I believe, that contracted COVID-19, the senators, and the Secret Service that may have exposed or are positive. We need to send a deep sympathy of message. This is not time to be partisan, and this is not the time to start to claim this and that. If you turn on CNN, every single broadcast article about CNN is claiming that the president has been lying to the American people about his medical condition, lying about the progress of the medical condition. What is this important for stimulus? It's important for stimulus because wag the dog. Do you remember what wag the dog is? Wag the dog is how you get ahead of a story and change the focus right away. Currently, there's a focus on the president misrepresenting his medical condition. Guess what would change the focus right away? Stimulus relief, giving your stimulus checks, giving us our FPC, giving millions of Americans money that they've needed for months and have not gotten. As soon as we get off of his medical condition, off of his representations, leave that for the medical doctor to talk about, have this president say, I'm giving you stimulus, we're back to getting back on track. The president has done this before. It was upwards of 5 weeks ago where the president on a Friday afternoon said, I want to send out your stimulus relief. Remember that day? It was a good day. He said, I'm ready to send out $1,200 stimulus checks, $500 appended checks. I'm ready to do FPC. Steve Mnuchin's ready. Let's get it done. He said that since he's been in the hospital working on your stimulus package. But the important thing is the next comment that I have for you today is that the president needs to get on page right away, because the Senate is closed. You can't be saying things like, I'm ready to work on your stimulus package, or Steve Scalise saying, I'm ready to work on your stimulus package. Package means a bill going to law. There can be no law because the Senate is closed October 19th. If anyone in their right minds of this Trump administration thinks that Americans are happy to wait around to October 19th for you to work on the package and then vote on the package on the 19th, that is off message. Americans are not happy to wait to October 19th to get a package voted upon. Get the package voted upon now, or do it by executive orders. The congressional situation is the following. As I detailed earlier today, I actually posted the original Saturday morning Kid Rock video from 1980s cartoons about I'm a bill, I'm only a bill sitting on Capitol Hill. A bill means nothing until it becomes law. And what Nancy Pelosi passed last Friday is only a bill. It's not law. And it will never become law before October 19th until this president does something. The reason why is because the Senate is closed. The Senate was required to pass a law. You can't pass a law just by voting on in the House. It has to go to the House and get passed in the House. Then it has to go to the Senate and be voted in the Senate. And then it has to go to the president and be signed by the president. Well, the Senate's closed, so how do you get this done? Two ways. First, the president can do it by executive orders. Second, the president can order the Senate back in session remotely. Let me explain something, because I did this in the earlier video and it still caused a little bit of confusion. The Senate can't change their rules to do remote voting just out of the sky, because the only way they can do that is having them in session and saying, okay, now we're in session, let's change our rules so we can do remote voting. They're not going to come back into session because 3 members are COVID-19 positive. But the way to get around that is the president can issue an executive order ordering them back into session remotely so they can vote remotely and get this done. Next, economic numbers. Oh, my God. I mean, this weekend has seemed to have forgotten where we started on Thursday. On Thursday, I revealed to you, or was it Friday? No, it was Friday. On Friday, I revealed to you some new economic numbers that came out, and they are the biggest reason for an executive order for stimulus. As we sit here today, we're waiting for a $1,200 stimulus checks. We're waiting for multiple stimulus checks. We're waiting for extension of FPUC. We're waiting for hazard pay. We're waiting for this money. And it's not quite clear why the money hasn't been gotten. It's not quite clear why the president hasn't done it by executive orders. But on Friday, an economic number came out that was so categorically horrible. It makes anyone that's looking at the situation that has a brain cell above a P, that has any understanding of how Wall Street works, any understanding of how the economy works, to say, what the hell is going on with these people? The economics numbers revealed that Wall Street was expecting 800,000 new job creations in the month of September. Those job creations include both temp jobs, part-time jobs, odd jobs, jobs that are not, career jobs, just jobs you took to pay the bills. They're expecting 800,000 in a number that basically throws a kitchen sink in it. They got 600,000. They got a minution of the number. It showed that jobs are not being created. Now in September, when it's still relatively warm in some parts of the country, outside restaurant dining has not shut down because there's no snow on the ground yet. COVID-19 cases were still not on the rise substantially like they are now. That is a horrible number. And yet no one sees a sense of urgency, as someone said in the comments. The president needs to do executive order and needs to order the Senate to be reopened remotely and get stimulus checks out. Here are the details as we go over the details of what an executive order would look like. $1,200 stimulus checks. I, the President of the United States, by power of the office of the White House, order that $330 billion that I have identified that has been expired money dedicated under CARES Act 1 for a prior program, which is now closed, to be repurposed for the purpose of executive order. And that executive order herein declares that stimulus checks will be sent out to the American people forthwith. $1,200 for individuals, $2,400 for married couples, $500 for dependents, adult dependents and minor dependents. And the economic threshold to receive the stimulus check would be, I think it was like $87,000 2019 gross revenue or less. Every American will get the stimulus check, and I order that the checks be sent out forthwith. Easy. Easy. See how quickly I did that for you? Now, you may say, why is it $1,200 dependent check? I got it. You may be saying, why is it only one stimulus check? I got that. But that's where we are at the moment. I'm trying to explain to you why something so simple as what I described to you isn't being done. Has the money, has the agreement generally among his party and his team and everyone about the amounts, has the ability to route it out, has everything teed up to do this, and is not doing it. He has a Sharpie and a piece of paper, and he's sitting in Walter Reed writing something. Sir, write the executive order. Enough is enough. There's a point at which people just say, do you want to really be president again? Well, if you do, send out the damn executive orders, because this is starting to look like a lot of silliness. This president has been sitting around since June and telling us every single time he wants to give us stimulus checks. In June, he said he was going to give us stimulus checks. In July, he said the stimulus checks would be more generous than the Democrats were giving you. At that time, they were $1,200 adults and $1,200 dependents. So he's now not more generous. In August, he said he was going to do it. In September, he was going to do it. 2 weeks ago, last week, Steve Mnuchin came out on behalf of the president and said, you know what? We're supporting the Problem Solvers bill. We'll do the Problem Solvers bill. But the Problem Solvers bill has multiple stimulus checks. Now the president's back at one stimulus check, even less than what the Democrats proposed. What's going on, sir? Send out the darn stimulus check. The debate is just around the corner. And with the debate just around the corner, what can this president do for focusing the debate less on his medical condition and more upon you? Stimulus relief. Stimulus relief FPUC, unemployment benefits. People are unemployed and becoming more unemployed. The unemployment numbers detailed on this channel every Thursday morning, they come out about 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, are not good. I mean, this channel launched on April 25th, around when the first bad numbers started. Before the pandemic, we had 200,000 new unemployment claims per week. Now we are at 800,000 new jobless unemployed claims per week. These are new people going on unemployment per week. It's the worst run since the Great Recession. How many more weeks are we going to keep on doing this? How many more times is Larry Kudlow going to walk out to the press and say the economy's rebounded and we're in a full V-shaped recovery? No one's buying it. That's propaganda. That's fake news. That's just untrue. The economy's not rebounded. Ultimately, it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or Democrat. No one believes that. Stimulus relief is what people need, and they understand that right now. Finally, silence. Silence is not something that's good. And it's certainly not good in the face of where we are today. There's a reason why there's silence today on a Sunday. The president, by all accounts, called his executive team, whether it's members of his cabinet or top GOP leaders who are close to him, to not talk to press for at least 48 hours, because whatever they're going to talk about is going to ultimately back into what is the president's medical condition. That has hurt our ability to understand where stimulus relief is. This is Sunday. On Friday and Thursday, Nancy Pelosi and Steve Mnuchin were using the word imminent. A deal is imminent on Sunday. This should have been a video about how a deal is imminent and the deal was reached today because they negotiate over the phone on Saturday. As we sit here today, we absolutely categorically don't know what happened between Steve Mnuchin and Nancy Pelosi over the weekend, if anything at all. And in fact, no one's asking about it, because every broadcast news reporter is asking about what the oxygen level was of the president on Saturday morning at 2 a.m. Again, the message of your stimulus check is off front page. We've dealt with a postman. We've dealt with a new impeachment scandal. We've dealt with lobster bills. We've dealt with pot bills. We've dealt with every distraction. And now we have yet another distraction, unfortunately. But if the president's being discharged tomorrow and is back in the Oval Office, well, the question is then, can we finally get back on the message? Can we finally get an executive order? And then there's the other concern. The other concern is, can we functionally get to an agreement for stimulus? If the president's going to do executive orders for second stimulus, he needs to know what he wants to do, because he may not have full access to the data, the staff, the numbers, and everything else because of the situation with COVID right now. Steve Mnuchin was in the presence of the president on a Wednesday in the Oval Office. He tested negative on Friday. His press secretary says he tests every day. What was his test on Saturday? We don't know. What was his test on Sunday? We don't know. What will be his test on Monday? We don't know. It takes about a few days for COVID-19 exposure to pick up in your system. Steve then went to Nancy on Thursday and spoke to her face-to-face. She tested negative on Friday. Well, what's her test on Saturday? What's her test on Sunday? Will she be going back in the office on Monday? Will Steve Mnuchin going back in the office? I want you to understand. I think this is sort of obvious, but sometimes I gotta say these things. Steve Mnuchin's bill that he's dealing with at 1.6 trillion or 1.8 trillion or 1.5 trillion, it involves a lot of numbers, a lot of language, a lot of manipulation. He's not doing that himself. He's has a whole staff of lots and lots of people at Treasury that are working on numbers and language to modify them to get a deal done. But if he doesn't have access to that staff, or that staff is out of the office because they were exposed to Steve, then how can we get anything done? As we sit here today, I don't know the answers. I don't know how many people are working in Treasury. I don't know how many people work in Pelosi's office. I don't know why the Senate is closed. I don't know why the president has not ordered them back to remotely vote. I don't know why the president is not doing executive orders. I do know that Mark Meadows and the president are at full odds, very, very big odds. I mean, the last time you heard odds like this is when the president starts firing people, and that doesn't bode well for anything for stimulus. So, can we get to the finish line? Oh yeah, we can. We just absolutely have to have one person pushing forward. And you know who that person is. It's only one man. If he really wants the presidency, now's the time for Donald Trump to do what he needs to do and what should have done weeks ago. Let me get to some of your incredible questions from yesterday in a video in which I really do, again, thank you for keeping this professional, respectful, and focusing on numbers and economics and not scandal and disrespect to the president. 1,900 comments. Peter Dufo, where are we going? Nowhere. No stimulus. I'm just getting very pessimistic. Please don't. That's easy. It's easy to be, easy to be the donut guy. Put up the donut, say, check back with me when everything is done. Okay, I'll check back with you in 3 years because that's when Nancy Pelosi wants to give you a stimulus. James Underwood, instead of them getting their raises, they should have given a pay raise since they can't keep their job. Aaron Haskett, if they don't believe, they will soon be believers. I love that. Josephine Viglione, I love your last name. We aren't getting anything because our government sucks. Don't think that either. Not everyone in government is bad. Some of the people I detail on this channel are bad, but not everyone in government is bad. Cheryl Tibbs, why can't they Zoom like Trump and e-sign? They can, they just are not allowed to. Okay, let me answer. The Senate cannot because they would have to modify their rules, and the only way to modify their rules is to come to session in person, and they're not going to do that. So the president has to do some sort of executive order to order them to have an emergency session by vote remotely, and he can do that. Butch Long, if the President Trump wants the American people to have stimulus check, why does he just sign executive order? Come on, man. Captain Obvious needs to walk into the Oval Office and say, hello, I'm Captain Obvious, sir. You're Mr. President. I'm telling you right now, it's a little bit obvious. It's time to do the executive orders. What I forgot to mention at the top of this video is the president is now 14 percentage points behind Joe Biden. At what point do you sort of realize, I think I need to do something different? Like stimulus relief, like executive orders? Platinum Ghosts, they just need to do a virtual meeting. It's not that they can, it's that they legally cannot because they cannot do that by the rules. Marlene, this is planned all along so they don't have to help the American people. We'll be strung along since July. We have been strung along since July 30th. This is enough. Vote them out. Amen. John White, the government's been dragging their feet far too long. Amen. Jennifer, hey, LA, I'm so upset now. I'm going to say, I'm glad that somebody still has the work ethic that you would be, sir. Yeah, I mean, I've been here. I really appreciate all the viewers that come in as soon as the video goes live. You have a work ethic. You're on top of the story. And these nincompoops in the Senate are just, all they do is want to collect your taxes as their salary and their pension and do much of nothing, including Nancy. Angela, they should be fired, every one of them. Gentle, I can't believe all the money the politicians have been paid to do nothing. Harlan, all the senators need to be replaced. Amen. Jacinro, does Mitch McConnell know that the $2.2 trillion is not coming from his bank account? Valerie, this has been awful for going for months. Tracy, like all essential workers, put their lives on the line. Should the House and Senate be considered essential? Caesar, they're just buying time at this time. Gina, oh my God, I can't believe this has been going on for months. Amy, this is 2020. Do Zoom meetings for God's sakes. Green Took. If you did not watch the video before this earlier today on, I think it was on Mornings, I told you that in April 15th, Reuters did a report in which they asked Steny Hoyer, Nancy Pelosi, and Mitch McConnell, why aren't you setting up for electronic vote, remote voting, because of this thing called the COVID-19 pandemic is starting to spread. I think you need to be prepared to do remote voting in the event that people get sick and people can't come into the congressional floor. We can't shut down our U.S. government. They said, we'll get to it later. Much of like how they've done almost everything. And on Friday, when we only had two senators that tested positive, Mitch said, well, we've dealt with this before, and we're going to progress as forward. We're fine with the situation. As soon as he got to the third senator who tested positive, he said, we're shutting it down. Now, you can certainly determine your own conjecture or speculation, but bottom line is they've not prepared. Coming up next is hazard pay and big developments, more about check, with why the deadline is even more important than ever. Go to the front channel, subscribe, because who is really keeping you up to date by the minute. Also, like this video. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay FLA for more.